You're looking at New Orleans, and this is AHA 2016. But I'm talking about an issue of JACC that was printed November 8th, and the whole thing is talking about HDL, which has been such a tease. We think we know its value and successfully target it, but to little to no avail. So will big data shine light at the end of this particular tunnel for HDL? We are here to discuss this paper, the November 8th issue of JACC, and its high-density lipoprotein, cholesterol, and cause-specific mortality in individuals without prior cardiovascular conditions. And to do so, I'm with one of the co-authors, Dr. Dennis Ko, MD, MSc, a senior scientist at the Institute for Clinical Evaluative Sciences in Toronto, and also an associate professor of medicine at the University of Toronto. HDL has been so disappointing. I mean, you have to wonder whether it's time to just forget about the whole thing or not. Where are we with HDL before we talk about your paper?
Yeah, I think what we think also in HDL as a cardiologist is the last holy grail of cardiology. You know, we thought that if we are able to increase our HDL, nobody is going to have a heart attack anymore. And that turned out not to be the case. We learned a ton from the Framingham studies and other epidemiological studies classically that, if you have high HDL, you get very little cardiovascular outcomes. And that is becoming more and more muddy. And in fact, the drug trials haven't worked. There are other genetic studies that shows that they might not be true. And we wanted to look at this again, and we'll use kind of the big data platform that we're able to look at, a lot of people. So what we found in the study is that, if you have low HDL, you have higher cardiovascular mortality. But it's just not the heart. It is high for cancer mortality. It is high for non-cancer, non-cardiovascular mortality. And we think that, we saw also that, if you have low HDL level, it's a very confounded measure. So, if you have poor exercise activity, bad diet, diabetes, comorbidity, actually you have lower HDL. So I think HDL is becoming much more likely to be confounded and not a direct marker for cardiovascular health.
So in this big data analysis, how many patients were you able to look at, and what data did you use? Yeah,
so in Ontario, given that we have a single healthcare system, every person can be linked. So we have approximately 1/3 of the population laboratory in the whole province, and we saw that who got cholesterol testing, who doesn't, and we followed them up over the next many years, and we actually ended up having more than 630,000 people, and really allows additional insight, because when you have a few hundred, few thousand, it's a very blurry picture, and now we can actually see a lot more than we didn't see before, and we saw the shape of the relationship of HDL that's different from what we think. It's not a straight line relationship, it's more flattened curve, and among other things, we're able to look at a lot more different outcomes than we were able to.
Is there any good news?
I think the good news is this. I think the preoccupation of the numbers, I'm telling kind of clinicians as well as patients that, in the past people really check the numbers over and over again, and, did it go up? Yep. I exercised, did it go up some more? And I'm telling people that, well, it's probably not the numbers. It's probably your lifestyle, control your risk factors. I think it's probably just as good as just following the numbers. So I think at this time, I think I would worry less about the numbers and just concentrate on doing all the good stuff.
So where are we left to go with HDL in terms of understanding it and making it a target of therapy?
I think at this time, I think a lot of scientists and researchers are kind of searching. There are new evidence to say, well, maybe the blood level that we check on a regular basis is probably too non-specific. People are thinking about subtype of HDL cholesterol. They're looking at transporters that may be more specific and maybe a better target. But I think we have a long way to go. But I think that, the simple, good, bad, cholesterol hypothesis.
The story, yeah.
We have to rethink about that.
The findings of CANHEART actually highlight, though, the opportunity to ask important questions within large linked data sets in real-world clinical information. What else are you planning to do with that? I mean, it's a great system.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have more and more of these papers out there because it's really kind of gain insights, and people are interested in these studies. So I think we, have thoughts to look at, LDL cholesterol, which is, a hot topic on PCSK9, triglyceride, but, having like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cholesterol levels, and we can track them over a long period of time, really, create a lot of new stories.
I will say that in an accompanying editorial by Stephen Nichols and Peter Saltis, they wrote, Ko et al. Provide further evidence that will continue to dampen the enthusiasm of a protective link between HDL and clinical risk. So a little depressing, but at least we're continuing to learn. Right. Isn't that the case? This is in the November 8th issue of JACC. Please check out the paper by Ko et al. And Please check out the rest of the coverage from AHA 2016 in CardioSource World News and CardioSource World News Interventions.